Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. For those of you guys with ISAs, I wanted to walk you guys through sort of how we go about the process of making sure that the ISAs that we're working with, that they actually know what they are supposed to be doing and what they are responsible for on a daily basis. So every ISA should have a list of daily tasks that they are responsible for. This is your ISA's SOP. It should leave nothing to chance. Everything should be written down here in terms of what your priorities are for that ISA. I have personally found that if you leave all this up to the ISA in terms of what the priorities are, that's a very quick way to start burning a lot of money. So you really need to get clear on, what are the priorities and, get that written down. I prefer to do it on a Google Sheet. You can do it on Airtable. You can do it on a Google Doc. You can really do it wherever. I personally prefer to do it on a Google Doc because what's nice about a Google Doc is you can create, with conditional formatting and drop downs, you can create these drop downs and it's, you just check it off as you go, which for me, my whole life runs on checklists. So for me, it's just, I find it very easy to stay organized when I can just go, run through this list and check this stuff off as we go. So let's run through briefly what's on this list and, essentially what's involved here. The first thing that I want to mention is you can basically set this up however you want. So this is our version of what's important to us. Now, we're a fully remote team. So if you're not using Slack, I highly recommend it. It's great for teams and it's, just helps keep everybody in the loop on everything that's going on. ISA says good morning in Slack, reads through their mindset tab here in Google Sheets. We have, if you're going to be making phone calls all day, I'm a big believer and you got to be in the right frame of mind to do that. So for us, the focus is really on helping people solve problems, right? I'm not trying to sell anybody anything that they don't want or need. I pick up the phone, I find out if that person has a problem. If they don't have a problem, then I'm on to the next phone call, right? That's the mindset that your ISAs need to have. Otherwise, this can be a pretty challenging job, from a mindset perspective. So the next option here, return all phone calls and voicemails. That obviously goes without saying. If you have inbound phone calls, in my opinion, those should be taken care of first. Same thing goes for voicemails. Same thing goes for text messages. And then start following up with emails that you've essentially received overnight. The funny thing is, this is for ISAs that we've set up. As I mentioned previously, like my whole life revolves around checklists. I do this exact same thing for my own life as well. If you're not running your life based on checklists, I don't know how you can possibly stay organized today. So the next item here, add all leads to CRM from phone calls, texts, and voicemails that are not in there presently. So basically what we're referring to is if it was an inbound phone call that or a text message or an email that's not actually in your CRM, making sure that you have actually added all of those leads into your CRM. Just because somebody is called you doesn't necessarily mean it's being added to your CRM unless you've actually set up a phone number inside of your CRM to collect that information. So that's super important. The next item here, clear out all fresh CRM notifications from overnight. So that essentially means, inbox notifications. That could mean fresh conversations. It could mean showing requests. It really doesn't matter, what the CRM is, but, making sure that you're taking care of those fresh notifications from overnight. Our whole team operates on an inbox zero policy, including myself. I just find that's the best way to stay organized. If you're not sure what that is, it essentially means you keep your inboxes clear at all times. And that means like when a fresh lead enters your database, you're able to see it right away versus, if you've got 25,000 leads sitting in your database, it's very easy for leads to fall through the cracks if you're not operating on inbox zero. So some food for thought there. So, again, checking it off as we go, complete all of your tasks and reminders for the day. You should have tasks and reminders set up for callbacks, people that you're looking at potentially doing business with, people that you're looking to set appointments with. Like those should be set up on a daily basis. If your ISA is not setting up tasks for people to call, I can just about guarantee you that they're not going to be booking any appointments. So after that, take care of fresh leads. And look, you can make the argument that maybe these are out of order. At the end of the day, the most important thing is, are you consistent in your mindset about getting this stuff done every day? Whether you call your tasks and reminders first or you call your new leads first, honestly, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. What matters more is that you're doing it Monday through Friday and you have some structure to your day. If you have no structure to your day, if you're just, flying like a sail or a flag in the wind, like, you're just not going to be successful. So, as we start moving into the rest of these items here, so contact all hot leads every 1 to 3 days. Contact all recent activity leads 2 to 3 days. So those are people that have been active on the website. With regards to your hot leads, something that I want to mention there, your hot leads should have 3 to 5 sentences of concise, detailed background notes about what and why that person's looking to transact. If they don't have that, it's going to be challenging to be successful. Qualified leads, people that have been unresponsive, that are not really picking up the phone. This is where you can use some automation here. I think that makes a lot of sense. You can set up an AI texting bot, a AI calling bot. You can set up a drip campaign, whatever. It's not something to really essentially get the conversation and get the person to raise their hand. I think that makes a lot of sense there. And then you start working your way through the rest of the database. So you're contacting your warm leads, your cold leads, your archive leads. And again, you can change this to however you want. I'm not even saying this is exactly what we do. I'm just giving you guys some thoughts on, in terms of, if you have an ISA, how do you want them going about their day? That's really the focus here. Something else that I'll mention, so you can see right here, it says check 5 appointments, appointments or leads for agent follow-up. So this is something that is super important as an ISA. If your ISA is just booking appointments for the sake of booking appointments and they're not actually following up with those appointments to see if there was, a closing attached to one of them, it's very unlikely that you're not going to see success with an ISA. In fact, it'll probably be a money losing operation. The whole point of having an ISA is, if you're at least, like, the way that I would recommend thinking about it is if you're spending $1, ideally you want to be making at least 3 back. If you're not making at least 3 back, it's sort of like, what's the point? So the ISA has got to be checking appointments for agent follow-up. And let's be real, I think everybody in here is aware, especially the brokers and the team owners, agent follow-up not necessarily always happening. Let's be real, right? So it is important as an insurance policy that your ISA is following up with those appointments that are being set up. If you have your ISA making calls on, RedX, Mojo, Vulcan 7, you can add that in here as well. Submit a daily recap at the end of the shift. I think that's also super important because it gives you a clear idea as to what the results were at the end of the day. And then, saying EOS or end of shift in your team Slack channel. So, that's sort of how we go about the process of making sure that the ISAs that we're working with, they know exactly what they're responsible for, what they are supposed to be doing. And if they're not doing it, guess what? They're not working here that long, right? So, it's really important to get clear on, what are the priorities, what's actually going to, move the needle on, whatever it is that you're looking to do, and then make sure that they're actually doing it. And if they're not doing it, it's crystal clear, because the conversation is, well, it's on your daily task. Why is this not being done? That's literally the conversation right there. And sometimes I have to have that conversation. And it's an easy one to have because literally it's right there. Why are we not doing it? So it's a very easy way to apply accountability to a position that absolutely needs accountability. So anyways, hope you guys found that helpful. If you guys have any questions or topics that you'd like me to cover, happy to do so. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.